The wrong doorbell. Genre: contemporary drama/betrayal and emotional conflict. Theme: infidelity, consequences, redemption. Chapter 1: The Routine. It was 7:15 a.m. in suburban Ohio, and Melissa Hartley had already made breakfast, packed lunch, and sent her husband, Brian, off to work with a quick kiss on the cheek. Their marriage had settled into a quiet rhythm. The kind of rhythm that starts to feel like background music, familiar, but easy to ignore. Melissa, 32, worked from home, a freelance graphic designer who hadn't left her cozy little studio in weeks. Brian, 36, worked long hours as a regional manager at a logistics company. The spark between them had fizzled into simple coexistence. That morning, the doorbell rang around 11 a.m. It was the same delivery guy who had been coming around for a couple of months now. Tall, rugged, with a lopsided smile and arms covered in light tattoos. His name tag read, Jake. "Hey," Jake said, handing her a box. "You order half of Amazon?" Melissa laughed, more than she had in days. "You caught me. Retail therapy." Jake chuckled, but his eyes held hers for a moment longer than necessary. Chapter 2: The Glance. A week passed. Another package arrived. Then another. Always with Jake. Melissa found herself looking forward to the sound of the doorbell. She'd fix her hair, put on a little mascara, nothing drastic, but just enough. She told herself it was silly. But it wasn't just about the packages anymore. Jake started staying a few seconds longer. Making small talk. Asking how her day was going. Complimenting her. Creative vibe. It felt harmless. After all, she was married. So what if a delivery man flirted with her? But then, one rainy afternoon, something shifted. Jake handed over a box and said, "So, what's a beautiful girl like you doing stuck at home all day?" Melissa raised an eyebrow. "Are you flirting with a married woman?" Jake smirked. "Only if the married woman's flirting back." She didn't answer. But she didn't close the door either. Chapter 3: Cross Lines. It started with coffee. Jake was dropping off a package and Melissa invited him in out of the rain. One cup of coffee turned into two. Then a few minutes on the couch. Then laughter. Then a brush of hands. By the time Melissa realized how far it had gone, Jake was leaning in, his lips brushing her neck. "I should go," Jake said softly, but his hands didn't move away. "I know," she whispered. But neither of them moved. Chapter 4: The Affair. The next few weeks were a blur. Melissa and Jake would meet during Brian's work hours. Quick encounters at first. Then longer, deeper, more passionate. She told herself it was just physical, but deep down, she knew it wasn't. Jake was younger, freer. He made her feel alive. Desired. She hadn't felt that way in years. She stopped waiting up for Brian. Their conversations grew colder. She felt guilty, but not enough to stop. Jake filled a void she hadn't even admitted was there. But secrets have a way of crawling into the daylight. Chapter 5: Cracks in the Surface. Brian began to notice. Melissa was distant. Her phone was always upside down. She was smiling more, just not at him. One evening, he came home early from work. "Melissa?" he called out. She was in the shower. The door was locked. Her phone buzzed on the table. It was a message from a contact saved as JD. JD. "I miss you already. Can't stop thinking about this morning." Brian's stomach dropped. He didn't touch the phone again. He sat in silence until she came out. "You okay?" she asked casually. "Yeah," he said, forcing a smile. "Just tired." He wasn't. He was broken. Chapter 6: The Confrontation. It didn't take long for the truth to come out. Brian confronted her 2 nights later. "Who's Jake?" he asked. His voice wasn't angry. Just hollow. Melissa's face froze. "I saw the message," he said. "You're cheating on me, aren't you?" There was a long pause. Then she whispered, "Yes." Brian's hands trembled. Why, Melissa? After everything? After all these years? Tears welled in her eyes. I don't know. I was lonely. You're never here. Jake made me feel. Don't, Brian snapped. Don't justify this. He left that night. No screaming. No smashing plates. Just silence and a door closing behind him. Chapter 7 Aftermath. Jake thought Melissa would be free now. But it didn't feel like freedom. It felt like something had shattered. Her home was empty. Her life was a mess. And Jake. Jake wasn't ready to be anyone's replacement husband. The affair continued for a while, but the magic faded quickly. Jake pulled away. Melissa felt used. Worse, she had no one to blame but herself. Brian filed for separation. She didn't fight it. For the first time in a long while, Melissa was alone. Truly alone. Chapter 8 Reflection. 6 months passed. Melissa had moved into a small apartment across town. She stopped seeing Jake entirely. Therapy became her weekly ritual. She began to understand the deep emotional cracks in her life, many of them of her own making. One afternoon, she ran into Brian at a coffee shop. He looked older, tired, but still kind. They talked. Briefly. Politely. The pain lingered in his eyes, but so did something else, clarity. I'm not angry anymore, he told her. But I can't trust you again. I hope you find peace. Melissa nodded, blinking back tears. I'm sorry, Brian. For everything. He nodded, then walked away. Chapter 9 Redemption. Another year passed. Melissa began writing a blog about emotional healing and relationships. Her posts gained traction. She shared her story, not as a victim or villain, but as a woman who had made a terrible choice and lived with the consequences. She didn't date. Not seriously. She focused on rebuilding her life. Brian remarried eventually. Melissa sent a quiet blessing into the universe. As for Jake, he moved on. She never saw him again. Melissa learned that temptation is easy. Commitment is hard. And forgiveness, especially of oneself, is the hardest of all. The end.